top of the boat, you'll find the heads of restaurants. You'll find the Woman Institute. We do have some souvenir hats for sale. Kind of a funny pun.
Very decorative, very ornate, very detailed. These two towers are covered in over 250,000 terracotta clay tiles, all in 6 different shades of white. They start a little bit darker at the base of the building, and as they rise to the top of the building, they get a little bit brighter, a little bit more opulent. It's meant to be almost like an optical illusion to kind of draw your eye from the base of the building all the way up to that stunning clock tower at the top. Now, actually, each of these 250,000 terracotta tiles are all numbered and computer cataloged. So if any of those tiles gets broken or chipped, we know exactly which number tile we need to replace. Now, we're passing under our Michigan Avenue DuSable Bridge. It's renamed the DuSable Bridge relatively recently to honor our very first non-Native American resident here, Jean-Baptiste DuSable. He's got a little statue of him just on the north side of the river. Pulling directly from under our bridge here, you will be taking a look at our second tallest building in Chicago. Directly in front of you, this building is 1,389 feet tall, including that decorative spire you'll see all the way at the top. This is our Trump International Hotel and Tower, and it was designed by the architect Adrian Smith. Now, Adrian, also very conveniently, designed the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa building over in Dubai. That building is 2,717 feet tall, which means if you took this building, including that decorative spire, and you stacked it on top of itself, you'd have about the height of the world's tallest building, which is both impressive and terrifying, all at the exact same time. Now, this one's done in a style of architecture known as contextualism, meaning it looks at the context of the things around it to inspire its design. You might notice these 3 setbacks, these cutouts in the building. Those are meant to align with heights of buildings that came before it. The first, the lowest setback, is about the same height as the Wrigley building we just spoke about. Second setback intended to be about the same height of these curvy corn-cob towers you'll see coming off to the right. And the third setback is just about the exact same height as this black building directly behind it. So contextualism, looking at the context. This black building is called our AMA building, and it was designed by the German architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. Mies van der Rohe was known as the father of the black box style of modernism, which I feel is pretty self-explanatory when you look at this large black box. But 3 things pretty important to Mies when he was designing his buildings: form, line, and ratio. Form, we just talked about that black box style. Line, you might have noticed those racing steel I-beams leading you all the way up to the top of the building. And ratio, when we pass out from underneath the bridge, take a look at every single one of the windows on this building. Each window is done what's called the golden ratio. It's 3:5, it's 5:7. It's considered to be the perfect ratio in mathematics. It's even the same ratio as the Parthenon. So form, line, and ratio. We'll get back to Mies van der Rohe in a little bit. But we've got 2 other very interesting forms on our Chicago River. These 2 curvy corncob towers of Marina City. Now, these are actually 2 of the 5 buildings that comprise Marina City. You might notice that shorter office tower right behind it. Today it's a hotel. The House of Blues Theater is a part of this complex, and it was the fact that nobody really wanted to live downtown. So Goldberg said, well, what if we create a city within a city so that you could live in the apartment towers, work in the office tower, play in the movie theater, and end up in the river. This next little building is in fact more of a little building. You'll see this shorter red brick building just off to the right that has that beautiful clock tower on it. This one is called our Reed Murdoch building. This one's meant to be a little bit shorter because it's done in a style of architecture known as the prairie style of architecture. Prairie style is a little bit more horizontal in order to honor the horizontal nature of the prairies. But the design, that's meant to acknowledge what grows both. The Reed Murdoch building today is also home to companies such as the Encyclopedia Britannica company. Now, this next little red brick building you'll see says the Chicago School on it, just off to the right, which is pretty convenient because it's done in a style of architecture known as the Chicago School style of architecture. Has nothing to do with the name of the center column and then that decorative or ornate capital or crown all the way at the top. This style of architecture was made famous in Chicago, hence the name, and made famous by the architect Louis Sullivan, who has buildings all throughout our city. Now, this next building you'll see, you really can't miss it because it's the large square feet on the inside. That's about 70 U.S. football fields that you could fit in there. All the way up to the top of the building, the dark setback windows that make those columns look even taller, the repeated chevron or arrow motifs, and then those opulent bronze squares that kind of bring you back to the roaring 20s Great Gatsby time in our history. When this building was no longer being used as the Marshall Field's wholesale warehouse, the Kennedy family purchased it. Joseph Kennedy added in these 8 Pez dispenser heads, I like to call them, along the way. These are our Chicago. Now, I told you this was the largest building in the world when it was completed. The building that finally topped it was the Pentagon when it opened in 1943. The point is really where Chicago got its start. Originally, we got our town charter in 1833, and we decided to set up the town of Chicago from right off here to your right. We set up this area with 3 taverns and a hotel because we had our priorities straight back then. But eventually, people started to move here. It's kind of come full circle as well. Wolf Point was kind of in towers as well. Now, this area, Wolf Point, is also where the 3 branches of our Chicago River meet. We've just come down the main branch of the river, starting to curve up to the north branch of the river, and eventually we'll head down the south branch. And if you look at these 3 branches of the river from up above, a bird's eye view, they look like the letter Y. And that's where we get our city symbol in Chicago. It's a Y. Chicago, you'll see a big circle with the letter Y. All of that is acknowledging Wolf Point, where Chicago got its start. Now, this next little building we'll take a look at happens to be the oldest building we'll see on the tour today, directly in front. Chicago is home to the world's largest Union stockyards in the mid-1800s. Once meat was processed in those stockyards a little bit further in the south branch of the river, made its way on barges to the north branch where it was held at cold storage facilities such as this one. Now, when this building was first completed, in 1979, they let this building thaw for about 3 months before they could. So here, everyone told him he was crazy because no one is ever going to want to live that close to the dirty, dingy Chicago River in the 1980s. And Harry said, don't worry about it. I think it's going to be just fine. 1988, he opened up 4 condos here and 4 families moved in. 3 of those original 4 families still live there today. The very first family moved out inside of the bridge opened. The old Carroll Street Bridge, when it was completed in 1908, this was the longest and heaviest bascule trunnion bridge. But it still works, or for the most part, it does remain in that upright position. We do have about 37 movable bridges along the 3 branches of our Chicago River, and they also open up and down on a fairly regular basis, mostly in the spring, and it's called River Point. I like to call this building the Hot Pocket Building. Perhaps the McDonald's apple pie building. That's the shape that it has. But the shape on this building is intentional. It's structural. You might notice these exhaust fans, these black polka dots down beneath the building here. Those are there because there's a railroad that runs directly beneath this building. And when the architects were designing it, they realized they couldn't avoid the tracks, which led to the creation of that beautiful parabolic arch right at the base of the building. The one at the top, purely aesthetic, just to give it that hot pocket shape, but the one at the base is in fact structural. Now, I did promise you, you could play I Spy and find Ys all over the city, even in our buildings. You'll see this Y-shaped building, 150 North Riverside Plaza, just off to your right over here. This building had some of the same issues that River Point did. You had a river on one side and railroad tracks on the other, so you couldn't just drill those structural support columns wherever you wanted them to be. What the architects ended up doing was using caissons, the support columns, drill down about 110 feet to hit the bedrock down below. The building kind of shoots up from there. Cantilever floor on this building is about 104 feet in the air. Now, being the very large water tanks that hold about 160,000 gallons of water, when the wind hits this building and it starts to sway in one direction, the water in those water tanks slosh up against the other side to pull the building back into an upright position. The wind and the Getch partners answer that question in a very interesting Y-shaped way in 2017. Now we have another one of our Getch Partners buildings just across this river. You'll see our beautiful blue building of our Bank of America building. This building was completed in the year 2020 in Chicago, saying that any new architects did not want to give up that 30 feet throughout the entire airspace of the building. Instead, they opted to set back only the first 3 floors, that 30 feet. The rest of the building then just kind of gently rests, if you will, on these 3 enormous silver tridents. So they are, again, We have two really beautiful Art Deco buildings on either side of our boat, both built in the same Chicago Daily News building. They're going to be built on what are called air rights. What that means is those railroads, all these other buildings off to the right, have done the exact same thing. Now you might get, now these next 4 buildings you see off to the right, these are all designed by the same architectural firm. Skidmore was this new exciting form of engineering. For so many years we have been building buildings, stone on top of stone on top of stone. And these 2 buildings are built in the 1970s. We decided we wanted to shake things up a little bit, right? Spice things up. And the only, super spicy, right? 1971, Gateway 3 was opened. This building we call the international style of architecture because really in the 1970s you could have picked up this building and you could have put it anywhere in the world. Now in the 1980s, we really did start to shake things up. We finally started to bust off to the right. This one's called Gateway 4, completed in 1986, anywhere in the world. The only place that this building makes sense is right here, curve of the river down below, and the green glass that covers this building bows out a little bit to create these green, glassy ripples that are meant to look pretty reminiscent to the green, glassy ripples of our Chicago River. So because it relies on the context around it to inspire its design, we call this style contextualism.